Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm just going to make a quick recap over the daily plan. I didn't do too much live market commentary on StockTwits, so to make up for that, we'll actually take a look at the charts in live time. It's been a while since I've done that on YouTube. I was a little busy in the room working on webinars, and we had a member join and whatnot, so I couldn't be as active on StockTwits. But again, we'll take a look at charts. But let's start off with StockTwits. So first thing I posted this morning, as I usually do, the first step in creating my daily plan. So creating a daily plan, step one, checking the overnight TPO. What does the profile look like? Where are we in the auction? Many crucial things we could take from our TPO charts. We'll cover some in YouTube recap. So I've been talking about TPO and have been on YouTube for a little while. And for those who this may be new to, or maybe this is your first video, we use the TPO to, it makes the market auction more palatable, if you will. That allows us to visualize it much better. And if this is new to you, you may seem or think that I'm crazy, and this is the most confusing chart ever in the world. And yes, when you're new to it, it looks like a foreign language, but it's not. It's very, very simple, and once you know what to look at, or know how to read it, it's just boom, quick glance, you look at it and you know what's going on. So the types of things that we're looking at is this. This is called a market profile. Each session we will see has its own market profile. So the shape of the distribution, the highs, the lows, where value is lying, where the POC is, or point of control, all these help us derive information that the market is telling us, right? This is how we read the market auction. And using our TPO, we could gauge whether we are building balance, trading in balance. And when I say that, I mean multi-day balance. I don't mean balance within one session. So I always start my day here, and this allows me to find some levels, and then I look at my footprint, and I look at other things to then build confluence, right? I'm not taking a trade just because something on the TPO or just because something on the footprint. I've said this multiple times, but my golden rule, and the golden rule, which I always say in the room, in trading is your risk to reward. The more confluence we have between our tools, the less risk our trade is going to have on us, right? And when you want to do this long term, over the long term, even though you may take a trade just because the footprint, order flow, TPO, and it can work out, over the long term, you want to have less risk exposure in the markets, and using confluence between multiple tools allows us to do that. So here we are, creating a daily plan. Step 2, looking at the transacted volume on the daily frame. Do you see spots where buyers are active? Sellers, you should. We'll cover here. So this is the transacted volume on the daily charts. If this is completely new to you, pinned to the home of the YouTube channel, I have a quick video going over how I have these charts configured and how you could read them. This is called a footprint chart. This is how my footprint chart's configured. Again, these are very, very customizable, and if you look up just on Google Images footprint charts, you'll see it's pretty much unlimited. For me, I have transacted volume here, so that's what we're looking at. Some people just have their delta and a whole bunch of different other things, but we're looking at the transacted volume. So this is the past few days, of course, and do we see a bid? I do. You see this area where we have active buying imbalances, right? Buyers are trying to hold this here. Sellers, we had this explosive move and then some exhaustion here, and sellers trying to move down on the tape, right? So we know sellers are active here. Look, yesterday we have these selling imbalances, and sure enough, this is where I took my trade today, and we had a member also take a trade here. When we traded into here, we saw that these sellers were still active, and we saw our signs on our higher time frames, which we'll go over in a little bit when we go onto the charts themselves. But we're not taking it just because we know sellers are active here, right? We need confluence. We want to see that this offer is still active, and it was. So let's carry on StockTwits for now. All right, so this was the daily plan. No change in levels from yesterday, except I removed one level, but still same buy zones, same sell zones, and this is where I took the trade. As I said, like yesterday, right, the RTH high day was in this pivot area. I said, like yesterday, this area could provide another trade, but I didn't have it marked as a buy or sell zone because we need to monitor the tape live, right? Here, we could be confident that these could be inflection points and that we could at least get some movement, if not the low day or high day type moves off these zones. Here, as I said, we want to make sure that the bid, or not the bid, the offer that we saw on the daily from yesterday is still active here. And yeah, that was it from StockTwits. So as I said, daily plan provided a great trade opportunity. Myself, I took it from 39.75 to 37.20. And we had one member who actually got a better entry than me. He got it from 40.5 to 29. Whoops. If you guys don't follow me on StockTwits, I'll leave a link in the description. I post my daily plans every day before I open there. And I try to put as much live market commentary as I can in here. But since we launched the room, of course, the majority of my attention is there. So what are we looking for when we come, as I said, into this area? That was probably pretty small. Let me make this bigger. Bear with me. There we are. So I just pointed out here, remember this offer from yesterday? What are we looking for? Them to still be active. So we're not trading or taking a trade as soon as we trade into this area, hoping that they're active. We have to wait until they are. And what do we look for to make sure that they are active? I've spoken about this pretty extensively here on the YouTube, but we are looking at our higher time frames, such as our daily. I like to use the 4-hour as well. And we're looking for a P-shaped distribution. This is a capitulation to the top side. This is where sellers will put on their position, right? We get this exhaustion. You could barely see because I have that drawing in the way, I'm sorry. But you see exhaustion at the highs, you see sellers, but we poked above this. What is this? This is, market makers, algos, institutions, banks, whatever you want to say. We have sellers active here. We popped into it. We ran whoever's still short from here. We ran their stops, took them out. Sellers are active, and we see them now re-engaging here. And I think we could see we're transacting more here now, so these volume nodes are building out, but it was much cleaner when we were trading in here, that we had a nice P-shaped distribution. And we could see on the 4-hour, I'll pull this up. Right, so when we're looking at the 4-hour, I think we all could see very clean a P-shaped distribution, yes? And look where we're trading right now, 37.08. So what do you think these buyers, right? This is all being bought. 75,000 contracts, 84,000 contracts, 41,000 contracts. You get the point. What do you think the people who are long here are doing when we start pulling below where their average is? They have to stop out, right? So they're going to be fuel to the downside. And that's why we like our P-shaped distributions. We have our rules around P-shaped distributions. We'll usually see, as you see here, a bid on the bottom, sellers on top. And when we pull below this P, there'll be fuel for the downside, as I said. But if we pull above these sellers, they will be fuel for a squeeze. Now, it's the same thing when we're looking for a long, except in reverse. We're looking for a lowercase b distribution. And then we have entry criteria on our smaller time frames, such as a 5-minute, 30-minute, and even a 1-minute candle. I do like using 1-minute candles. I do find them to have use when you know what you're looking for. I know a lot of people don't like using them in futures, but as I said, I have my own entry criteria and whatnot around it that I show in the room. And yeah, so that was the day so far. We had higher volume here. I'm just going to go over my reason for exiting at 20, even though if I left my break-even stop and just wrote it, I could have still been in it. But I wanted to take the sure profits, if you will. We have high volume, I think we all could see here, and high volume up here, yes? So if we accept into this low volume area, I know that we're likely to see at least the top of this high volume area. So I was going to take it off right at 37.20, knowing that we could at least get here, and then we might bounce or consolidate in here and fill this volume. Now, I said in the room I could have maybe just taken another partial there. At this point, when we're trading down here, I already took one partial and then I exited down here. But I could have taken another partial here and then wait to see if we accepted into this high volume area, which, as you can see right now, we did. But I took one more trade. It was actually just an error entering my orders for the first trade, and I actually made an error but made money from it. So I accidentally went long and we got a little pop and I just flattened the position immediately. So I already was up on the day and I was happy with what I had, so I wasn't going to get greedy and look for the bigger move, take the short profits. But hold on, let me pause this. I'll pull up a 1 minute chart. Here we are. I just want to show my executions. If you guys would like, you could obviously pause this and see. This was the actual trade I took here. These orders down here was that error I was talking about. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep this to the side so I could then draw. I'm going to draw here looking at a 1 minute chart so you guys can see exactly where I entered. So I entered all in one. Sometimes I scale into positions, sometimes, as right now or in this trade, I went all in at one time. So as I said, I entered at 39.75 and I entered at 11.13. So let me get my crosshairs so I can see. $11.13 right here. Oh, it's the top of the zone it worked out to be. So literally right there, I'll make a little drawing. So as I was talking about before, I wasn't entering here as soon as we entered this pivot, even though I knew that there was an offer here, right? I want to see this push. I want to see people getting stopped out, the exhaustion we see on the footprint, and now I'm looking for my entry. I'm looking for my entry criteria. I got it here. Took it almost, no MAE, maybe half a point, 2 ticks, but pretty good. So as I said, I already made money with that first trade, so I was now just easy into this one. Even if I did take a stop out, I still would have been green on the day. So at 5 points, I just paid myself, and now I was looking to trail this longer. So as you know, I exited at 37.20. Just let me see what time. 37.20, 11.29. Whoops. Let me fix this y-axis. So 11.29 right here. So I caught, as you could see, the chunk of this move, right? Top wick here, bottom wick. Now, of course, as I said, I could have taken a partial here, knowing that there was a high chance of a bounce, either gotten an ad or just left this still the last little bit of that position at break even towards my next targets. But I was happy with what I had, and I just took off the profits that were in front of me. And we came up and provided another trade opportunity off this pivot, obviously, as you can see. And now we're trading. Let's see where we're trading. Down here. So yeah, that was a recap for today. That was a trade I took. Another member took it, managed it, and entered a little bit differently, but we both had the same idea and we're looking at the same thing through the order flow. So if nothing makes sense here, always feel free to email me or just leave a comment. I'll try to answer the best I can. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next YouTube recap.